Between 2004 and 2018, Bernard Stiegler and Ars Industrialis forged philosophical concepts in an attempt to understand hyper-industrial societies, which appeared on Earth during the 19th and the 20th centuries of our history. This video is a cinematic translation of some of these concepts. The idea is to present this vocabulary in the simplest and most pleasant way possible, for those who might be interested, especially since certain more or less recent pronouncements may well lead us to believe that the end times are approaching. Some of the concepts are rearrangement from the ancient and modern history of Western philosophy. Others are original notions, produced through the work of Ars Industrialis and Bernard Stiegler. This video is a free interpretation of those concepts. We will describe here 4 types of processes of individuation: physical, biological, noetic, and socio-technic individuation. Physical individuation refers to the fact that material systems change physically and chemically. Scientists discovered that physical and chemical reactions always evolve in a single direction, towards a state of increasing stability, until a maximum, which means no further changes or reactions can occur. To describe this tendency, they coined the term entropy. Entropy measures the progression of a process. Entropy rises when what is statistically expected comes to pass, and it reaches its maximum when physical and chemical reactions are finished. According to the second law of thermodynamics, entropy always increases for a closed system, and in at least 10 to the power of 100 billion years, the entropy of the universe will be at its maximum. All the chemical reactions will be finished, and will stop. It will be the end of the physical individuation. Biological individuation consists of nothing other than chemical and physical reactions. Surely it must then respect the second law of thermodynamics. Yet, looking at biological evolution, it seems perpetually headed in the direction of increasing complexity and diversity, moving away from an equilibrium. And that such a tendency is the result of chemical reactions seems highly unlikely. Moreover, the physicist Erwin Schrödinger introduced the idea that life could be seen as a process that does reduce the level of entropy, producing what he called negative entropy or negentropy. And more recently other scientists have introduced the notion of anti-entropy to describe the complexification of life that we observe throughout its history. But the Earth is not a closed system. Biological individuation never contradicts the second law. If life runs counter to the entropic tendency on Earth today, it is because it constantly exploits a tiny fraction of the energy released by the Sun into space every second. Which means that, overall, the level of entropy of the solar system is continuously rising. At the scale of the Sun, the second law of entropy is not contradicted by life on Earth. Biological individuation is a process of complexification of chemical reactions. One that is statistically unexpected, improbable, or virtually impossible. And it aggregates a part of the energy it receives every single day from the Sun. Then, the question of entropy can never be divorced from the question of locality. And if you make the entropy rate low at one place, with an organism or an organization, it will, in all cases, require energy to be supplied from elsewhere, and make the rate of entropy of this elsewhere goes up. Noetic individuation is individuation that involves the capacities of the mind and the spirit. It grows on biological individuation, along with physical capabilities. The more a species is physically gifted, and able to use its body, the more it will develop its noesis, and will be clever. Some animal species like the monkeys or the dolphins are very noetic, but it's the humankind that mostly saw his mind developed on Earth. For the French paleoanthropologist André Leroux-Gorin, humankind overdeveloped its spirit thanks to standing up, the fact we raised ourselves on our hind legs, and were then able to use technical devices. In his book, Gesture and Speech, Leroux-Gorin explains how bipedalism transformed our way to act, and our way to think. With bipedalism, our forelegs became arms and hands, and Leroux-Gorin remarked it is at this point of our history we started developing, in an exponential way, the complexity of both our techniques and our brain. The human brain grew in the same way our tools got more and more sophisticated. It is not only because we were clever that we produced artificial tools. But it was also because we produced artificial tools that we became clever. With our techniques, we also complexified our languages and our social relations. Our noetic individuation is in a transductive relation with the socio-technic individuation. In other words, technical systems, noetic individuation, and societies always evolve together, and can't be thought separately. A noetic being is necessarily a technical and a social being. It can't be otherwise.
Today has been a very strange day for a lot of us here. And I would like to share with you a piece that was written by the English poet John Donne in 1624. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. The bell tolls for thee.
As we are noetic beings, we use technical devices or exosomatic organs. We adopt organs that are not part of our body. Those organs are vital for us, like the words of our language. And if we are lucky, we spend some years at school, or go through educational processes, to learn those technical practices. It is why no man is an island. We have to use tools made by others, and that are also used by others. With our bodies we can't fly, we are not very fast, we can't climb very well, or swim, but with our techniques, we can deploy a tremendous amount of energy that no species on Earth can match. Our power is so great, we have reached the point of being able to destroy our entire planet, and the life it has sustained for 3 billion years. All animal species are in a race for energy, or food, in order to reproduce. And in this game we have shown ourselves to be winners, in first place. Early on, already during the time of the Neanderthals, we were the most dangerous predator on Earth, thanks to our spears and bows. And it seems that we may already have been responsible for the disappearance of many animal species, especially megafauna. Technics is our blessing. It allows us to survive, but it's also our curse, and leads us to cross every threshold. The knowledge, and the power it grants to us, can lead us to the best or to the excesses of what the ancient Greeks called hubris, to crime. So, human societies grow thanks to technical inventions, but that need laws to be regulated. The laws are established to constrain the ways in which technics is used and organized. In general, technical evolution has a step ahead of the law. But sooner or later, technical systems always require rules, which means social and legal systems that carry out this work of organization, limitation and regulation. The noetic thought needs techniques, which needs rules. Together, they produce societies. Today, however, we live in an industrial age that has brought us face to face with two main problems. On the one hand, our energetic potential has developed so far, and with such powerful inventions, that all of life on Earth is threatened by it. First by the effects of climate change, but also by the lingering threat of nuclear power. On the other hand, the regulatory systems, that should take care of our techniques, have proven too feeble and too slow to deal with this immense power and risk. And we see, all over the planet, irrational or suicidal actions by humankind. Noetic individuation needs techniques to fully develop. And the technical practices implies the development of skills, or know-how. With this knowledge, our ability to draw energy from the environment increases, far beyond what we need merely for survival. But energetic excesses always bring problems to societies. And the rules and regulations developed to keep these excesses in check involve another kind of knowledge. Savoir-vivre, ways of life, that shape our societies, our politics. These energetic surpluses also allow societies to liberate a group of people from the need to contribute to subsistence, to develop religions, spiritual ideas, and theoretical conceptions. All these forms of knowledge interact, intertwine, leading to new forms of techniques. Organization is therefore never stable but always evolving. New technical devices always bring new problems, in turn needing new social organizations. And every historical epoch is characterized by its technical systems, and the wisdom it produces, to contain its excesses made possible by techniques. Let us note now several of the problems that have arisen in the recent historical evolutions of these processes. The 19th century, with the Industrial Revolution and the steam engine, saw the appearance of the automated machines, exploited in new kinds of production units called factories. This greatly changed the role of workers. The productive knowledge that had previously been passed down intergenerationally is instead programmed into machines. Destroying their know-how, industrialization amounts to a process of proletarianization, a loss of knowledge, that starts with the know-how of workers, but it doesn't end there. Industrialization led to massive increases in the production, and even crisis of overproduction. But capitalism then learned ways of organizing the endless distribution of consumer items, with the consumer society. Consumer society is based on hyper-productivity, and on marketing, which involves psychological tricks, to persuade, at a massive level, consumers to adopt this increasing production. And with the cultural industries, radio and television, marketing aims constantly at undermining and replacing savoir-vivre, traditions, ways of life, family relationships, and weakens the very possibility of noetic individuation, first, in the developed countries. Marketing has short-circuited the processes of the transmission, and transformation of knowledge, of the human noetic individuation. New forms of stupidity have then spread all over the world. This is what Bernard Stiegler referred to as generalized proletarianization. Depression, disorientation and madness seem to be taking an ever stronger hold of our lives, because it is our societies, as a whole, that have become sick. Perhaps this is why mass killings have become so commonplace in our societies. But in 1993, a new medium appeared, which seemed to offer prospects. With the World Wide Web, a decentralization of knowledge became possible, through processes enabling just about anybody to publish texts, release videos, produce music, and so on. It became possible for just about anyone to exchange knowledge with other people living just about anywhere. It could then decrease the processes of proletarianization, provoked via the culture industries. But things are not so simple. Digital tools, platforms, so-called GAFAM, are also extremely powerful tools for new forms of marketing, intensifying the control of minds, and the march of proletarianization. However, It seems that peer-to-peer media's already brought good novelties. And in 2020-2021, social movements appeared, that seems to arise from the developments of those media. All around the planet, citizens are claiming the right to decide their collective destiny, through more democracy, for example by voting with the Citizens' Initiative referendum. Claiming the right to vote for laws, and not only to elect representatives, or masters, could be a sign of increasing maturity, and deproletarianization, shown by the populations of the world. It's maybe also a sign of generalized bourgeoisification, meaning by this word that, with the knowledge spread by peer-to-peer networks, we all today have the chance to claim the right to be a bourgeois. For instance, at the end of the 20th century, only a bourgeois could own a room, with a library, and the whole Encyclopaedia Universalis or Britannica to read to their children. But today, with a PC or smartphone, connected by the web to the huge industrial systems of the Internet, we can all read, and produce Wikipedia content, or YouTube videos. The web has completely disrupted access to knowledge. The European revolutions, during the 18th and 19th centuries, took place after the invention of the printing press by Gutenberg, and the spread of knowledge, made possible by the production of books. We think that the 21st century will be the century of new popular revolutions, provoked by the spread of knowledge, thanks to the Internet and the web. In other words, before the web, only a white 60-year man in a suit could make rational decisions for society. Today, anybody can also feel legitimated to do so. Naturally, for sure, Emmanuel Macron, and those in power today, undoubtedly wish to prevent such transformations. But perhaps they are not in a good historical mood. The Gilets jaunes appeared, reacting against the incompetence of the French government, and its inability to make good and fair decisions about climate change. And after their protests, even if the Citizens' Convention for Climate managed to propose 149 rational and powerful suggestions to fight climate change, these have mostly been rejected by Emmanuel Macron. It seems that elected governments will always defend the interests of capitalist firms before all else. We don't know what Bernard Stiegler would think about this hypothesis, and about the concept of generalized bourgeoisification. But for the Zaza Collective, the 21st will be the century of citizens' revolutions. Or will finish without humans.
Nos esprits libres et contents vivent dans ces doux passe-temps, et par de si chastes plaisirs banissent tous autres désirs. La danse, la chasse et les bouées nous rendent exempts des ouées et des misères dont l'amour afflige les cœurs de la cour. Car en changeant toujours d'ailleurs, nous empêchons si bien ce Dieu